This is the Transformers Generation Studio series from the movie Transformers the Movie, way back in 1986. We have the core class Decepticon Rumble Blue. The distinction is made because normally the figure for Rumble, at least back in Generation 1 in the 80s, he was done in red, and Frenzy was done in blue, but in the cartoons they were switched, the colors were switched, so the distinction of blue for Rumble. This should have been Studio Series 86. I don't understand why it's just regular Studio Series, but I guess they're not making any distinction for the core class figures, because I've noticed that even the Ratchet figure is just Studio Series and not Studio Series 86. Man, these core class figures are getting smaller and smaller by the minute. I picked up this figure from Hobby Corner for around $14.50. Not too bad. Let's get this guy out of packaging. And here is Rumble out of packaging, and the figure looks great. It's a little small for a core class figure, and I reckon that's because they were trying to make a figure that will fit inside the chest of the War for Cybertron trilogy Soundwave. And that was the constraint they were working with, and they just put some extra bits of plastic like the weapons and the pile drivers just to make up for, so that it will reach the budget specifications for a core class figure. But really, this is a Battle Master figure. Onto the details of the figure. He's got two G1 styled pile drivers, because back in the old cartoon, his arms would just transform into these pile drivers. The old G1 toy didn't have these. I'll show that off later, but this is how the instructions tell you to connect the pile drivers. It allows for better articulation. You may want to put the pile drivers a little bit forward so that when he leans in and kneels, like that way, but you can see the ball joint. You can, however, just flip the arms and put the pile drivers in that position. I think this is a better way to display the figure because you don't see the ball joint. But either way, it looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, the pile drivers don't do much. There's no spring-loaded action or anything like that. I checked. It's just this pad or this end that just plugs in onto the cylinder, and that's about it. There's no other way to store the pile drivers on robot mode except on his arms, which is fine. Okay, you can fold out the wrists to complete the transformation into robot mode. So he looks pretty cool. The proportions are much better this time around. At first, I actually thought he was a little spindly. The legs I felt might be a little too thin, but you know, after a while, it kind of grows on you. I think the proportions are okay. It's a little off just by a bit, but I'm pretty okay with it after a while. Okay, he has two of his G1 styled blasters, which plug in onto the back. The instructions say that you plug them here if he wants to use it, which is a shame. I wish there was a way that they could have bored a hole onto the fists, because in the cartoon he would actually hold his weapons like, but alas, this is the only way he can hold it. And the plastic that they used is this off-white pearlesque type of plastic. I love the shine on it. I love the gloss that it has. It's okay. It doesn't look cheap, but I would have preferred silver. There was a way they could have painted the silver or vac metal it into chrome, but you know, that would be too much, asking too much. That would be way off budget. But metallic silver would have been nice if they could have painted this. Paint apps for the figure. There's a lot of really nice paint apps that go well with the sky blue, baby blue, and purple that this figure has. I thought it was pretty spot on. I thought that the figure looks so much like his cartoon counterpart. Look at this head sculpt. It looks so G1. Probably the only thing missing is I would have wanted a bigger smirk or a laughing face for Rumble, because he was like the Joker crazy Decepticon in the cartoon. Articulation for the figure. The neck is on a ball joint. There's no waist swivel. The arms are on ball joints. No elbows or bicep swivel. The wrists can go in and out because of transformation. The hips are on swivel hinges. You can go do the splits. The legs can go forward and backward. There is a ball joint here, so you can do a swivel and hinge the knee, so ball jointed knees. The feet can go up and down because of transformation. Now on to some comparisons. Here we have it's a reissue, but it's G1 Decepticon Frenzy. Now, this is the one I'm using because obviously Frenzy has the rumble colors of the cartoon. And you can see where the inspiration comes from. You can see the chest panel, even where the Decepticon logo is. The paint, or the sticker I should say, on the legs match the paint apps. The blue is a little more of it's more accurate to the cartoon than the G1 toy, but the guns on the back is very similar to how they were back in G1. And like I said, I wish there was a way that they could have sculpted this or sculpted the fists to make him hold the guns properly. And look at that head sculpt. The head sculpt on the figure takes a lot of inspiration from the G1 toy, even in the cartoon, so I really like that. Now we're going to compare it with the War for Cybertron trilogy version of the figure, and there are some parts that look very similar, like the shoulders or the chest, but I think it's a brand new mold. They probably just borrowed some engineering here and there, but I believe it's a brand new mold. Here he is with a couple of other core class figures, and you can clearly see the size disparity. But again, like I said, Hasbro was trying to make up for the smaller size figure by giving it some extra plastic, which is all well and good. And here he is with the rest of the gang. We have the Netflix Voyager class War for Cybertron Trilogy Earth mode, Soundwave, together with Frenzy, Laserbeak, and Ravage. I think he'll scale well, even if he's a little bigger than the original mold. I feel like maybe he would scale better with a bigger Ravage. This is from the Universe Hound figure, so you just put him like that. Yeah, I honestly think this figure scales really well with the previously released Ravage, and here's hoping that Hasbro will redo this Ravage, because this Ravage does not look anything like the old G1. This one's more G1 looking, and hopefully we'll get maybe a Core Class Studio Series 86 Ravage. So the figure comes with a diorama. It's an insert in the box. If you remember, this is the communications array that Soundwave wanted destroyed. He dispatched all his minions, Frenzy, Rumble, Laserbeak, and Ravage, to destroy that communications array, which Blaster was using to send out an SOS message to Optimus Prime on Moonbase 1 from Autobot City on Earth. Now, here is Rumble trying to strangle Perceptor, if you remember that scene. I recall that compared to Perceptor, Rumble was a tad bit smaller. He was like half the size of what this Rumble looks like right now, but you know what, I'm pretty okay with the scale despite being a little bit too big. I think this is the best that Hasbro could have done. If they made it too small, it wouldn't have worked. So transformation, remove the weapons, put them off to the side, and rotate that head sculpt, fold it back, collapse it on his back. The arms, you're going to raise them up like this. There's a hinge joint on that shoulder. Then you're going to fold the fists inward. The legs, you want to rotate the lower legs 90 degrees. And then you want to fold up the legs like this. Then these arms are going to tab in and just lock those legs in place. Finally, feet, I'm going to fold up like that. And there you go. There is Rumble in his cassette mode. And for comparison, again in cassette mode, here is the G1 Frenzy, now Rumble. And we have the War for Cybertron trilogy Rumble. I think he's a lot better looking than this one. And the size is just the same. It's exactly the same in cassette mode. That is quite uncanny. I just love that they somehow managed to compress the bigger pieces into the same size as the War for Cybertron trilogy cassette. And then the details of the paint apps on the figure, very much mimics the old G1 stickers. Here we have Rumble with both versions of the War for Cybertron Trilogy Soundwave, because if he transforms in the exact same size as the War for Cybertron Trilogy Frenzy and Rumble, it goes without saying that he should fit into both of these figures. If you have only this figure or this figure, you should have no problem fitting him in. Let's start with the Earthrise Soundwave. It's tight fit, but he will fit nicely as a cassette. And he pops out okay. Let's try the Siege version. So it's best if you put him head first instead of feet first, because the feet, they will fit, but I feel like they're kind of tight. So the shoulders, I think, are a better, or the hands, I think, are a better fit in the bottom of the cassette tape deck. So you got to do it head first. Oh, this is tight. Wow, the Siege is very tight. I don't know if I can pop him out. He doesn't even want to close. That is weird. He will fit, but oh man, you can't pop him out. So let's invert him. Let's see if this is a better fit. No, it's still tight. He will not pop out. Yep, I would not advise you to store this one in the Siege Soundwave. Somehow the sculpting of the chest is much tighter than the sculpting on the Earthrise or Earth Mode Netflix Soundwave. And so some final thoughts on the Studio Series Core Class Rumble. I love the figure. Amazingly, I don't have too many complaints for this figure, albeit it's a little small for a Core Class figure. It is in the Battle Master scale. I think that was intentional because Hasbro wanted to do a Core Class Studio Series Rumble that would fit into the chest of the War for Cybertron Trilogy Soundwave. With that being said, I'm hoping that Hasbro re-releases that Netflix Soundwave into the Studio Series line with brand new colors, so fans can just have access to that incredibly difficult to find figure. The figure has great detail. It just has a lot of nostalgic elements about it. It looks very much like his cartoon version, and at the same time it uses a lot of the aesthetic of the old toy with the paint apps, with the design, the colors, and all that. I love the fact that they more than made up for the small diminutive scale of this figure by adding those extra bits of plastic. We have the pile drivers and his weapons. Probably my only complaint was a very small one, was that I wish they could have made the weapon silver and found a way to have him hold the weapon instead of just having them plug into the forearms. Overall, I'm very, very satisfied, very happy with this figure. I do hope they repaint it into Frenzy. And like I said, I hope we get a re-release of that Soundwave. The figure is going to get a 10 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this Transformers Studio Series from the movie Transformers the Movie of 1986. Decepticon Rumble Blue. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.